Hi, my name is Adam Wiencken, and I am the percussion specialist for Broken Arrow Public Schools in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Welcome to Sketchbook Podcast, a discussion about creativity, preparation, and effort with artists, creators, and educators. As always, I am your host, Daniel Montoya Jr. And Adam, how does it feel to be the first non-Texas-based band director or designer to be on Sketchbook Podcast?
I'm honored. Honestly, I looked at some of your past guests, and I've listened to a couple of your interviews with other guests. And
Thank you.
I noticed, I was like, hey, man, this is a lot of Texas, and I didn't know if that was kind of intentional from your end, or if you were looking to maybe eventually broaden it a little bit. But I was happy when you asked to talk with me.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, I try to do them all live. It keeps the comedy fresh. But in this age of Corona, these are the Corona tapes, as they will be known later on when we're all dead. Everyone's online now. And plus, you're not that far away, technically. You're kind of up the street. Up Interstate 35, as they say, right?
Mm-hmm.
The best thing to come out of Oklahoma. Okay, nobody's laughing on that one. Interstate 35, because it comes. Ed does. Okay, all right, great.
You gotta remember, I'm also not from Oklahoma.
That is correct. I live here. That's gonna make this. That's gonna make this all the better. So you said you listened. Do you have a favorite episode, Adam?
I listened to I listened to Joe Hobbs' conversation with you, and Richard Kearns, so two people that do two. Those guys do jobs very similar to mine, so I was just curious of what they had to say about their programs, and I respect those guys a lot. So those are the two that I've listened to the most. So those two are probably my favorites.
Yeah, they're kind of good. They're drummers, so I get why. The most listened to episodes tend to be, as a whole, percussionists. So I guess we like to learn. So we're going to talk a lot about drums, but not really, but just enough. But Adam, I got to ask you first. When is the last time you had a fried pork tenderloin sandwich?
Oh, man. It's got to be a couple years ago. I think we've had this conversation before, but man, that's like the state sandwich of Indiana. And it's got to be, the tenderloin's got to be like twice as big as the bun, but it's one of those where if I'm up visiting my family, because I still have a lot of family, most of my family still lives there. And if there's a restaurant or establishment that serves it and they're kind of famous for it, it's like close the menu. I guess that's what I'm going to get.
So that's the Texas version of the chicken fried steak, right? That's what they hold it in that high regard.
Same thing like Indiana State Fair. That's the go-to item.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've never had it, but you and Jen Barton, another Indiananan, both swear by it. So at some point I'll do it. Now, you live in Oklahoma. What's an Oklahoman delicacy then? Or is there?
Oh, boy. I don't think there is one. And if there is one, I'm not the best person to ask. I think, honestly, there's a few things. I'll tell you. It's something that what I've learned from Oklahoma people that are born and raised here, there are two things they really, really enjoy. And, of course, like Whataburger is a Texas thing, those kind of in and outs. And I know your hot takes on those. But two things that people in Oklahoma really like is Brahms. And Brahms is good, but being from the Midwest, it's not really something I always go to.
Right.
But something that everybody that seems to grow up here loves, and I just think is absolutely is just disgusting, is Taco Bueno. People around here love their Taco Bueno, and my wife and I have tried it multiple times, and it's just like, this is terrible. And I don't know. I guess it's just one of those things. Like I grew up, I still like if it's cheap stuff like that. Like I go to Taco Bell if I have to.
Sure.
And it's not like you get what you pay for, but it's still like at certain times it kind of hits the spot. But man, people here love their Taco Bueno, and I've never found a time where it hits the spot. It's just really, really gross.
Yeah, Dallas people like Taco Bueno also. For some reason. Yeah, I don't get it. So, all right, well, that's good to know that you haven't assimilated into that.
Right.
Now, speaking of Oklahoma, I am an Austin native, born and raised. I did attend the University of Texas at Austin, and I have faithfully attended as many games as possible for over 10 years. My question to you is, do you know why Texas doesn't fall into the Gulf of Mexico?
No.
Because OU sucks. All right, so I see you drinking. Is it hot coffee, hot tea? What are you drinking?
Hot coffee.
Hot coffee. Out of a mug that has a professional sports team on it. So I would assume that you do like the professional sports. And who do you like?
Yes. Well, being from Northwest Indiana, I'm a big Chicago sports fan. So Chicago Cubs, Chicago Bears, Chicago Bulls.
Oh,
So my
yeah.
top three.
Why the Cubs and not the Sox?
Well, I mean, if you're in Chicago, like I would say, obviously there's a bigger fan base for the Cubs, even in Chicago.
Sure.
But a part of it was that's what my dad watched. My dad watched the Cubs, and that's what we watched. And over the years, there's been a handful of times we've said, "I'm so glad, Dad, that you watch the Cubs and not the White Sox." The White Sox are actually a young team. They're coming up and they're getting better. And there was a while there that I couldn't stand them. I couldn't stand their manager. Like when they won the World Series, I was just kind of like an eye roll. But I think when you don't live there, you just support Chicago teams. But, I've always been a Cubs fan since as early as I can remember. I know a lot about the team. It's very, very much a part of my childhood. And the run in 16 was something I'll never forget. I was actually at Game 5 of the World Series. I told my wife, and we kind of agreed. I started to stash away some writing money for a couple years in anticipation if the opportunity ever presented itself. I said, we're gonna go to one of those games. I just have to be there.
Right, of course.
And I remember telling our director of bands, Darren Davis, I said, okay, so the Cubs are making a push. And I said, I just want to let you know I'm going to one of those games. And he kind of smiled and laughed at me like, okay. I'm like, no, I'm serious. So actually, they clinched to go to the World Series in 16 about 5 minutes before we took the field at St. Louis finals. And I had the phone out on silent watching the final out. It was while the band before us was performing, and
sure,
they made the final out. I closed out the live app or whatever. And then what I did is I went on StubHub and I spent an ungodly amount of money for my wife and I to go. I decided to go to Game 5 because I thought if they swept and won, I would be so happy that it wouldn't matter that I didn't necessarily spend all that money.
Yeah.
Or if they got swept, it's like, okay, well, the only silver lining in them being swept is that I didn't spend this money. But
correct.
It was Game 5. It was a Sunday in October. Or no, it was November 2nd, I think it was. And we did our state championship in Oklahoma Saturday night. And it was here at Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
So we finished up. We got home, took a power nap, got up, and drove to Chicago because I was not going to chance any sort of delay. Nope. And, we have some close friends that still live in the city. And my wife, she went to Northwestern, so she has lots of connections. So we drove straight to our friend's apartment, kind of dropped our stuff down, changed clothes, went straight to Wrigley. Spent the evening there at Game 5. My oldest brother, was also there. He wasn't in the game in the stands or whatever, but he was outside Wrigleyville. We kind of got caught up. We went back to our friend's place. And then got up the next morning and drove back home.
Wow.
So
okay. And did they win that game?
Yes, that was the only game they won in Wrigley that year for the World Series. There was potentially the clinching game for the Indians. It was 3-1 getting into Game 5.
Oh, that's right. It was the reverse Cleveland Cavaliers. Gotcha.
And actually, Game 1 that year, like I said, my whole family, I have two older brothers, and we actually surprised my parents. We all three of us went to Indianapolis and surprised my parents to watch Game 1 together in their house.
That's awesome.
So it's very much a family affair.
That's cool. Are you excited about Nicholas Foles joining the Chicago Bears?
I'm optimistic, but I'm not. I can't say I'm excited at the possibility, but I'm still looking at, what's the plan 2 or 3 years from now. I've read some hot takes from sports reporters that think that Aaron Rodgers is out this year, and it's like there's no way he's going to go to Chicago. And I can't stand that guy. But then if he wears a Bears uniform, it's kind of like, well, then you can talk yourself into it. But like Trubisky, we can have an entire episode talking about Chicago sports. But I'm excited. I love the team, whether they're 3-13 or 13-3. I think a quarterback committee could work for them.
Sure. And
Nagy's a really good coach, and he's not going to make either one of those quarterbacks throw 30 times to win. Like, for example, like when the Cowboys, like when they had to throw more than 20 times a game. And I always thought that was a good model for the Bears because they always have pretty good running backs. But
yeah.
I don't know. They've made some good moves. Their defense is even stronger because they got Robert Quinn from the Cowboys, the sack leader for those guys.
Yeah.
So, and they got him with Max. So I don't know if there even is an NFL season.
True.
We'll see. I think they'll be at least 8-8 again. But I don't know if I can't say I'm that excited, but I'm optimistic that he could maybe put a little spark in it.
Right.
Who knows?
Right. Well, Brett Favre went to the Vikings, so it's not unrealistic for Rodgers to go to a different rival because the Vikings and the Bears, they're Packer rivals, correct? Because they're in the same division.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Whatever.
Who knows?
I don't care. As long as it's not the Cowboys, I'm fine with that. Let's continue to talk about food. Now, you are from Indiana. You live in Oklahoma, but you're a world traveler. So I'd like to know what your favorite taco would be. It can be breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Obviously, it's not Taco Bueno. But what would be your favorite taco place?
Well, I can go from like the bottom. Like my go-to like late night taco is Taco Bell. I have it like twice a year. Cheesy gordita crunch. That's the go-to, man. Like if you're going home, a lot of times actually like WGI finals. That's what I get because I haven't eaten in like 8 hours or whatever. I just need something to calm my stomach or whatever. I don't know if I have a favorite taco, to be honest with you. But there's I don't know. I can't say that living in Oklahoma, there's quite as many options to choose from as far as really specialty places as there are up here. But there's some really good tacos at Fuzzy's. It's kind of a taco shop that's in Stillwater. I'd probably say that's probably one of the better tacos I've had here. Yeah. So that's probably my best answer.
I like Fuzzy's. Fuzzy's is good. What would be your favorite burger place? He's taking a drink out of his Cubs mug.
I know I should have an immediate answer for this, but I'm not sure I do. Honestly, this isn't local, but one time I used to judge in Minnesota every once in a while and got a chance to have like an original Juicy Lucy, which is where that's where they were actually kind of quote unquote invented. Was in Minneapolis. And it's basically, do you know what that is, a Juicy Lucy?
I don't. This is new to me.
It's where they put, it's two patties and they put the cheese in between and then they crimp the sides of the patty so when you bite into the burger the cheese comes out. And
that sounds amazing.
There's another name for that exact same sandwich. And I remember seeing a very short documentary, like somewhere online or PBS or something, where there's basically actually it's probably one of those Food Network shows. Sure. But there's two rival places that claim that they invented making a sandwich like that. Yeah. That's probably one of the better burgers I've had in the country. Ooh. Is in Minneapolis.
Wow. So you've given the most worldly answers so far. You've talked about you mentioned basically out of the state, so that's good. Do you like barbecue, and if so, where?
I do.
What's your favorite barbecue?
My favorite barbecue is actually here. It's a local place in Broken Arrow. It's actually owned by band parents. Their daughter is a bassoon player, and she's one of our synth players. Oh, all right. And they own a little joint called Smokies. There's a national chain or regional chain, Oklahoma Joe's, that's here. There's also, of course, there's in here, there's called Burnco. It's really popular in Tulsa. It's downtown Tulsa. It's like Tulsa's versions of Franklin's for you guys. Sure. Where it's one of those that's only open for, however many, until they run out of food. Yeah. There's lines out the door. They're only open a couple of days a week. I haven't been down there. I've had other dishes in downtown restaurants that have some of that barbecue in their dishes, but I've never been there. But my favorite place is probably, like right now, it's probably Smokies, but also Oklahoma Joe's here is also really good. It's right next to the hotel where a lot of our designers will stay when they come to visit. Sure. So sometimes we have lunch there, but now, especially because Smokies is local and owned by band parents, I try to go there. Of course. And it's one of those like it's like almost like a little house. You know what I mean? So it's really small, but everything is fantastic. It's awesome. It's like almost the smaller the place, the better it is. Right. So, and especially because it's local and there's a connection with the Broken Arrow band. That's where I like to go. Word. Yeah. Do you like fried chicken? Oh, who doesn't? There are some people that don't for some strange reason. What was your favorite fried chicken joint? Dude, This would have been might have been the last time we did the roast parade. But we had a little bit of time. Either I don't remember where we were. It was Manhattan Beach, or maybe it was the boardwalk or something. I found a California place that had a chicken and waffles that looked really really good. And I was like, I'll try this, and the ingredients are all, we're all like farm fresh, and it wasn't like a sit down place. It was kind of grab and then you could sit at the table or just go.
Sure.
And I don't remember the name of it, but I know it's on my Facebook timeline from 2016 or 2017.
Yes. All right.
But I've had it's somewhere in somewhat touristy shopping area, but it was a place I never heard of before that had probably the best chicken and waffles I've ever had.
Wow.
Maybe I can follow up with you after we get off this discussion. I could tell you where it is.
We'll put it in the notes.
I definitely know I checked in at the time because I was like, people have to know about this.
Right. I'm okay. I'm very interested in this next time I go to the Rose Parade. Do you have a favorite wings? Do you like wings? Are wings a thing?
I love wings.
All right.
I love wings. Actually, Pluckers is really good. The couple times I've had Pluckers.
Word.
But I think up here, my go-to up here is actually Wingstop. I know it's super national, but we don't have, there's not a lot of wing specific places down here or up here from you. When I was in college, everybody just has B-dubs, but it seems like the older I get, the more I just hate it.
Agreed.
But, I mean, it's fine, especially like drum corps tour. It's like, okay, I can do some B-dubs and you get
right.
It's not very expensive or whatever. But here our kind of go-to if we really want wings. Sometimes I make them myself. I've got a recipe that I really like. But if we just want to get something quick and we know we like it, my wife and I will eat Wingstop. Right. And it's close, delivers, whatever. So.
Sure. I got you. Okay, now this is an adult podcast. Do you have a favorite vodka or a favorite liqueur of choice?
A favorite vodka is definitely Tito's, I would say. Yeah. Absolutely. Super smooth. I also like that is it fairly local because it's made, I mean, maybe not anymore, but at one time it was. Yeah. But it's also, I don't know if there's been places where they don't carry it. So that's maybe the reason why I like it a little bit more.
Sure.
That's probably my favorite vodka, favorite spirit.
Word. You're speaking, you're almost like a Texan, kind of ish. Do you drink iced tea? And if so, do you take it sweet or unsweet?
Usually unsweet. Occasionally I'll do half and half.
Oh, all right. Half and half. Yeah, you are from Indiana, so you didn't grow up with that in a bottle, right? Like some of us did.
Well, there was a time where when I was in college, I used to drink a lot of soda. And when I got out of college, started teaching, and this was before I started drinking coffee. I wanted to have something and maybe kind of cut down on my soda intake.
Sure.
So I started drinking sweet tea and thought that would be better. And it was like, this isn't any better. So, and honestly, when I moved to Oklahoma, of course there's sweet tea everywhere, but I mean, I could still drink it. It still tastes good, but I just try not to. Word. So sometimes if I want, like, honestly, sometimes just regular unsweet tea with food tastes really good to me. I don't necessarily go to an unsweet tea just to drink. It's usually with barbecue, honestly. That's the one time I usually have it. Yeah. If I want a tea, like I'll get a green tea maybe and have a little bit of sweetener. Or if I want to have a little bit of a sweetness, I'll do half and half, but
Sure. Okay. All right. And you are drinking coffee. How do you take your coffee, sir?
Black.
Just straight up.
Well, I haven't always been that way, but this was a few years ago. My wife and I did like one of those cleanses where you just, it's like a 14-day whatever. And it was a little challenging, but then it's, it's a good way to kind of drop some water weight or whatever. But one of the rules was you couldn't have soda. You could just basically have water, and you could have coffee as long as you didn't have any cream or sugar. Ooh. And that was kind of like, listen, I can't do a cleanse if I can't have coffee. Like I'll be a basket case. So honestly, when we went on that cleanse, I got used to tasting black coffee, and that's what I drink. It's not good for your teeth, of course. But
right. Yes.
It makes it. I'm a very simple Starbucks order. You know what I mean? So, whether it be iced coffee or whatever, cold brew, but if I do my coffee black.
All right. I dig that. Now you're from Indiana. Is it Indiananin or it's not Indian?
Hoosiers, right? Man.
Hoosiers. Oh. Okay. I'm sorry. So you're a Hoosier. Now I don't know a lot about other than the handful of Indiana schools that compete at the highest levels of BOA. So forgive me. What high school did you attend?
I went to LaPorte High School.
LaPorte, where's that?
Northwest Indiana. It's nestled right in between Illinois and Michigan near the lake.
Sure. Okay.
So if you are familiar with the Michigan City Drum Corps show,
yes.
all?
We're open class champions.
Yeah, open class. They used to have open class championships there.
Yes.
That Michigan City High School was the rival of LaPorte.
Oh, okay.
And my house was like basically right in between those two schools, and so I was 15 minutes from the Michigan border, maybe 25 minutes from Illinois, and about a 10-minute drive to Lake Michigan.
Oh, okay. Could you see the that cooling tower from your house that's in Michigan City or not? Is there a cooling tower there? I think there is, like the power plant.
Oh, yes. You couldn't see it from my house, but you didn't have to go very far from my house to be able to see. It's NIPSCO. Yeah, that was the energy company.
Oh,
yep.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Gotcha.
But yes, you couldn't see it from my house, but you could see it fairly close to my house.
Sure. Not like seeing Russia from Alaska.
Right.
Now, were they a big BOA competing type band, or they just what'd they do?
So my high school band, we were kind of your average band as far as size and what we did. So our school was about 2,000 kids. We were they call it Class A. We were still part of the largest class size of Indiana. But marching band was voluntary. They made that switch before I got into the band. Sure. So the marching band with the color guard actually was usually around 100 to 120 members. Okay. But the band proper, we had 3 high school bands. And I would say that we were probably around 160 band members. So more kids didn't do marching band than did.
Gotcha.
But I think, the concert bands were good. We did everything that we normally would do. The jazz bands were actually pretty good. I think that at least when I was there, that was probably the best performing ensemble that we had. And I think it's gone in flux a little bit. Some years the jazz band was always really good. Some years they were phenomenal. But then kind of the cool thing that happened when I was there is my senior year, we actually advanced to state finals in Class A, and we were about 100 members. We did a boxed show, and this was at the time where basically there was a North Regional and a South Regional. Okay, and basically north side of Indy, everything on the north side of Indy was a regional, and then everything that was right in the middle of Indy and down was a South Regional. The top 5 from both regionals made state. Gotcha. And usually we were, if 20 bands were there, we were usually right in the middle somewhere. That was kind of normal. But that year we just kind of had a special little thing going. We were very aggressive in terms, everybody had to play. Everybody kind of bought into what we were doing. And we advanced to state finals, and that was with a regional with Carmel and Central, some groups that were amazing. Yeah. And we were just, it was at that time was one of the really cool. I was actually drum major that year. Oh, okay. And I remember being on the track at whatever school it was for regionals and being announced. And at that time, it was 13 years since LaPorte was ever in a state finals. Oh, wow. And you can imagine now, some group, 100 members doing a stock show. Yeah. Made Indiana. I'm sure if I put on my instructor cap and designer cap now and I look at the recap, I'm probably sure somebody really bought into what we were doing and I think that's actually what happened. I think we won General Effect Music that day. Okay. Somebody just bought it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was kind of just reactive, but that was probably the highlight of when I was there. We did a couple BOA regionals. We did the Toledo regional. We made finals. I think my freshman year or something, maybe my 8th grade year. And there used to be a BOA regional at Pontiac Silverdome. We went to that one. Those are the 2 that I remember.
Yeah, so that tells the audience how old you are if you still march in the Pontiac Silverdome.
That's right.
What did you play when you were in LaPorte High School?
I did 5 years. I actually did it as an 8th grader.
Oh, wow, you're one of those schools.
So
okay.
I was, yeah. There's a handful of us that did it. And my 8th grade year, we didn't have a drum line. So I was in the pit and played whatever they told me to play. A lot of it, like we did a lot of Latin influenced stuff. So I played a lot of, congas and bongos, and I didn't play a lot of keyboard stuff. But my freshman year, I had a little snare solo, but then again, we had a grounded pit.
Sure.
My sophomore year, we actually had enough numbers to do a drum line and front ensemble. So I played snare. And then my last 2 years, I was drum major.
Oh, wow. Last 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So 2 years of pit, 2 years of snare. I mean, 1 year of snare, 2 years of drum major.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you the hottest questions in the percussion world. Everyone's going to judge you, specifically me. Here we go. Traditional or match grip?
Both.
Oh.
I've done both.
Oh, what do you do with the arrow?
Right now, we do traditional.
I like. Good. You don't need to say right now. You can just say we played traditional. So
we play traditional.
Good. Don't change it.
But when I got here, we didn't.
Oh,
they played they played match grip for a long time, and I Tom McGillen, who was here before me, we talked a lot about it and everything that he did. That it made sense to me. And when I got here, going from match to traditional was like number 300 on my list as far as things to do. We made that switch in 2016 in the fall of 20. Oh wait, actually, I'm sorry. It's fall of 2017 is when we made that switch.
Oh, okay.
And now we play traditional.
Gotcha. Okay, good. All right, good to hear. Finale or Sibelius?
Sibelius.
Of course. Are you gonna switch to was it Dorico or Dorico when that thing?
I'm gonna watch others go through that pain.
Yeah, exactly.
And then once I feel other people are kind of making it work and it seemed to be easy enough for me, then maybe I'll consider it. But I don't see myself switching anytime soon.
Sure. I understand. I'm right there with you. Do you have favorite sticks or mounts? I realize you might be endorsed, so you might have to say a certain brand, but whatever.
Yeah. So Innovative Percussion is the company that I'm affiliated with. And my two favorites, to me, the 1003 is the Jim Casella mallet.
Classic.
It's kind of the go-to general mallet for us for outside. But what's awesome about it too is you can use it inside, in the right context, of course. But that's why Jim made that mallet that way, is so that you could do that. Now, obviously, you're not going to play a lot of percussion ensemble stuff like in the lower half and fortissimo. But we on the recordings that we've made, we've used that mallet for a little more articulation, and I really love that mallet. Yeah. And then I keep going back to Jim's snare stick too, the Casella snare stick.
Yeah.
That's what I played when I marched Cavaliers, and I enjoyed it for that technique. And I've used almost the entire catalog of IP sticks. I'm always open to trying things, and a lot of times I'll give them to the kids and say, okay, you're gonna have maybe all 6 in band camp or something have a pair of sticks, and then they just trade for a couple days, and then I'll just get a feedback from them like, well, what sticks do you guys like? And our kids like the Casellas, and especially with the way that our everything evolves, and especially with the way our drumline played when I first got here, and the way that we play now is very different. Sure. I mean, it's taken 9 years to do that. So when I first got here, the Casella stick is not what we used because it didn't really fit the way the kids knew how to play. But over the years, as the technique and approach has evolved, the best stick for us, at least right now in this moment, is the Casella stick. So, he's a teacher of mine. I look up to him a lot as a teacher and an arranger and a person. He's a great person. So, it kind of fits with what's going on with us right now.
All of those are true statements. Favorite cymbals?
Constantinople series, man.
Ooh,
obviously we don't use those outside or inside for indoor, but
sure.
We very slowly kind of build up our cymbal inventory, and I have a great relationship with Brian Stockard at Zildjian. I'm a Zildjian artist, so I've always believed in their cymbals, and I was honored to be a part of their team. But we have a couple pairs of Constantinoples that are like, we treat them like glass, because you have to. It's one of those where they have to go back to the certain spot that's not in the band room. You know what I mean? And you have to go get them. And if they're left out, it's kind of like, what are those doing out? Why are, so, but everybody included in our band program, myself, our other band directors, they love those cymbals, and we have a suspended as well, both hand cymbals and suspended, and it's kind of our go-to.
Yeah,
and it's also just a way that's like, hey, you want to get another Constantinople? You really love how those sound. Well, what about this? So, very slowly, that's kind of becoming our sound in terms of concert.
Sure.
So those are kind of my go-to as far as. I think that's my favorite.
Yeah,
are those series of cymbals.
Those are solid. Those are solid. Yamaha Pearl other.
Well, I'm a Yamaha artist, and Yamaha was pretty much everything that I played on in drum corps, and with the exception of like one summer of filling in for a friend of mine for a drummer that played Pearl, it's really all I've ever marched and played. And I did, I've taught some other drum lines that play other instruments, and there's always like pros and cons of everything. But I've always felt, in my experience, that Yamaha produced the most consistent instruments that were so diverse in terms of what you wanted them to use them for. I always felt I feel like their durability is unmatched among any other manufacturer, and that's my personal opinion. I think the instruments themselves are beautiful. I've always kind of thought as Yamaha as the higher end, like the BMW of drums. Doesn't mean that it's better or worse, because some people don't like BMWs, and that's okay.
Sure.
But I've always felt really passionately about those instruments, and because I know them so well. And if you see Broken Arrow when you see us roll up, I mean, I'm very brand loyal. I'm a Cubs fan. I mean, it's kind of part of what I do. Yeah. So we use, Yamaha amplifiers. We use Yamaha mixers. We use Yamaha speakers, keyboards, synths, drums. If Yamaha makes it and we have a place for it, that's what we use. So I'm very, very glad to be a part of that team. And that's what I really believe in.
Word. Yeah. Yeah. Solid. Are the drums just too loud?
It depends upon who you ask.
Exactly, right. Well, you're not in UIL, so we can be.
Are you talking about Yamaha's drums, or are you talking about just drums in period?
As a musician, as a composer, clinician, arranger, designer, judge, all those things, you probably have heard plenty of tapes from music judges. Drums are just too loud, even if they can literally the drums aren't too loud. But
I mean, they can be, but I think that's part. You have to remember what you're trying to do. Meaning, one thing that a colleague of mine, a mentor of mine, told me is make the main thing the main thing. And remember, for especially the fall, there's a reason it's called Bands of America. It's a band contest, and I say that all the time to. I don't get to really judge at all in the fall because I'm doing my own things, but. The groups that I write for, I just remind them, remember, it's a band show. Yeah. And you have to remember what you're trying to do. Now, if you're just kind of a renegade and you just want to do what you do, then, hey man, you do you. But competitively, if that's something that's important to you, you have to remember what you're trying to do. So yes, they can be too loud. I do think there's a balance, because sometimes the percussion can bring an element to your program that other things can't. I remember, when I was younger, I used to listen to percussion judge tapes from DCI finals. This is back when they made the finals DVDs, and you could listen to the judges tapes. I think it was 03 Vanguard. Prosper was on the field.
Yeah.
And they get to the end of the opener. And he goes, "Oh, you almost pushed that. It was on the edge. So be careful." And he said, "But sometimes that's where music needs to go." And I've always kind of remembered that is you kind of, and I think at Broken Arrow, that's something that I always feel like we can bring to the table, because I'm a fairly aggressive, I was an aggressive performer. I love to play aggressively. That was something that really, resonated with me. And of course, like, you only take a sliver of that when you're teaching band or whatever. But I do think that's something that for us here gives us a unique perspective sometimes and sound, is we can really deliver a punch if we have to. So I like to have that trick in the bag, but you only use it, twice a year, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to answer your original question, sometimes they are. And I think every percussion director and designer has to look at themselves in the mirror and go, maybe they are. You know what I mean? And I had that conversation every year. And sometimes, you know, I've been here at Broken Arrow now for 9 years. Next year will be my 10th. And when I hear the drums are too loud and it's July 30th, I kind of roll my eyes.
Right. Yeah, of course.
But I can do that because we've been working together for so long. I just say, listen, if we still feel this way at the end of September, early October, or especially mid to late October, then of course. But, you know, the drummers are going to start figuring things out a little faster than the wind kids can. Then every single wind kid's going to put air through the horn.
Correct.
And I know I wrote that part to be 2 or 3 Fs the way it's going to sound at Grand Nationals.
Yes.
So my approach to the kids is not any different. It's just the percussion kids can do that faster. That level of growth happens way faster than the wind. So sometimes, you know, it's like, okay, well, they might be too loud right now, but let's revisit that maybe in a couple weeks. And if it's still that way, hey man, I will adjust it if I have no problems with that. So, you know, sometimes I'm kind of like, you know, you pick your battles, you know what I mean?
Of course.
But yeah, for most cases in almost every band in the country, at some point, the drums are too loud.
Yes, I would agree. Now, you said the word renegade. Are you able to say renegade, or is that one of those things like Ohio's don't put M's or whatever?
Oh, absolutely not, man.
Oh, okay. All right. I just didn't know if we needed to go back and edit that out. You know, I mean.
Oh, not at all.
Because that's the Union Renegades, right? Isn't that what they are, or something like that?
Yeah, Renegade Regiment.
Oh, that's what
you know. You know those guys are great.
Sure.
I actually marched with Adam Bruce, percussion director. At Cavaliers, and when I first got here, the director of bands now, who used to be the percussion director at that time, Charles Passara, actually marched drum corps with my brother.
Oh, wow.
And instantly came up and introduced himself. So I have a great relationship with those guys. I know, you know, we try to go and watch them perform. If we're at a shared competition, you know, we'll take our kids and watch them and support them. And no, so it's not that way.
Word. Cool. I'm just trying to start some controversy. You know, we don't have any band or drum corps or winter guard or anything.
That's right.
So we need something. Now I realize asking this is a loaded question because you're one of those programs. Are the electronics just too loud?
Could be. You know, that's a very hot topic right now amongst band directors. And DCI, obviously, we went through it in the January meetings. But, you know, I don't think it's too loud. But I think you have to remember, again, make the main thing the main thing. What is the competition? It's still a band competition.
Right.
So, you know, it's no secret when you come watch Broken Arrow, we have shotgun microphones. But I can tell you, as the person who sees the mixer and the person that's mixed it for the past 9 years, we do it to where for the like a 99% of the time, it's so that we can pick up the woodwinds.
Of course.
Yeah. And it's, you know what I mean? It's so that we can hear something, and maybe we don't have to rewrite so many parts for a balance issue. So, you know, and I think one thing that we've always felt that we have done is when you watch our show or listen to our show, it doesn't sound synthesized, or it doesn't sound like we put a microphone on a kid and you hear the horns through the speakers. I think sometimes we might even think that it doesn't help enough. Like maybe we're not using it enough. But then then if it's a really windy day or something and I don't bring the shotgun microphones out there and I go, yeah, you guys notice it now. And I mean, again, it's just a little sliver. So I think there's with that and with electronics, it all has its place. But you just have to remember that it's still a band show. It's still about, you know, what would this sound like if it was rearranged for a wind ensemble? You know what I mean? What would that character be, and what would that sound be? So if you can get everything balanced to where it's a rich, full sound, then let it go. Like do whatever you want. But you know, there was a while there where we would just use like really loud bass patches, or you know, like whatever it may be. You know, I don't see it quite as much, and I'm definitely, you know, I'm younger, so I'm like, yeah, dude, use it. It actually helps. It actually makes things easier on your kids, and it fills up the arena that you're trying to fill up. Yeah. You know, like Lucas Oil is challenging to fill up that space for most bands in the country, and even with some of the bigger bands, you still have to consider that. So that's another big reason why we're doing that. So I think, yes, electronics can be too loud, drums can be too loud, but they both have their place in what we're doing. But you also have to remember the big picture.
Sure. That's great. I would like to point out that you coming from Indiana, Jen Barton is from Indiana. She went to Center Grove. She says both, BOLTH, but you say both, BOTH, the way it was intended.
Maybe it's the Northwest Indiana versus
I see.
Greenwood. Because I used to get teased. I don't know. Maybe I don't have it anymore, or maybe I don't know. But I used to kind of have like a Chicago accent, a little bit.
I can catch
and I
it,
noticed. Maybe a little bit. I don't notice it, but I used to get called out for it a lot. But I think now that I don't live in Indiana, maybe it's kind of subsued a little bit. But
I see.
That's probably that. I mean, especially if you. There's Southern draws everywhere, but
sure.
Most people that come from the region, as it's known, the Northwest Indiana, they have a little bit of that Michigan and Illinois draw, way more than maybe Central Indiana or Southern Indiana.
Oh wow! All right, regional dialects. Gotcha. Now, I don't know if this is a big thing in Oklahoma, probably not in Indiana, but you're close to Texas. Do you have any thoughts on sparkling water, specifically Topo Chico?
Well, I've tried it a couple times. I
don't like where this is going. Oh my God.
I think here's what I'll say is I think my palate just doesn't. I think honestly, I grew up on a lot of soda. I drank a lot of soda when I was a kid.
Sure.
Like I'm the youngest of three boys. So I think by the time my parents got together, like just eat whatever you want.
Right.
My brothers grew up on Kool-Aid and I grew up on like the Coke being stocked in the fridge. So I think that's just my palate. So I've tried it. I want to really like it because I think like the carbonation and all. I've tried it a couple of times. A couple of my staff guys really enjoy it. I just don't care for it. But I don't hate on it. I just don't care for it.
Wow, that you might be the first one in history. So everyone's turned off the podcast at this point. So we can talk about whatever.
I'm sorry. Maybe you can edit the.
We'll edit it out. It's going to be like, oh, I love it. Why does his voice sound different? Okay, now you marched the Madison Scouts. Were you the Carmen show? Is that right?
That was my third year in the Corps.
You did 3 years. So what were the 3 years?
I did 4 years actually at Madison.
Oh my God. Okay. Name the shows, not the years.
Gold, green, and red.
Oh, the return to finals. Yes.
Yes. That was my first year. My second year was, Madisonic.
That's right.
And then, I guess we call it the Carmen Show. It was called the Carmen Project.
That's right.
It was my third year. And the last year was Primal Forces.
That's right. So did all four make finals or did Primal Forces?
Yes. We were in finals
all 4 years. Okay, gotcha. And then you did how many years at the Cavaliers?
2 years of the Cavaliers.
And those shows were what?
That was As So It Goes, the music of Billy Joel.
Correct. Let's take a year off because we've been winning too much.
Well, that was the hardest show I've ever done.
That's a cool show, definitely.
And actually, about that show, I geeked out because, I always thought, everybody I marched with that year, especially if they marched other places or other years, they've said, that's the hardest show we've ever done. And this was maybe a year ago. Michael Gaines had a very short comment on Facebook, and I don't know how he was talking about that show, but he said that was like the hardest drill. Really? Or the most physically demanding drill he ever wrote. And I was like, okay, good. It wasn't just us. And then my age out year was Samurai.
Oh, that was a good. My brother, who is a Cavalier, he marched 01 and 02. And I agree. We say Samurai is a severely underrated show in that, it's really, really good if you take it out of the context of every show that preceded it. I think maybe the community was quote unquote tired of the Salcedo Gaines code of design.
Well, I think what was interesting, that was my favorite year, it was just so much fun and I loved marching that drum corps, and I felt like, because Cavaliers was, at that time was way more relaxed than Madison was. So I felt like I did 4 years in Madison and just in terms of the corps operated a lot differently. And it was really important for me to get different perspectives on how drum corps is done.
Yeah, of course.
And my age out year, there were a lot of it was an older drum line and older drum corps just in general. But that show everybody enjoyed. I honestly, of course, everybody wants to win. Yeah. I honestly just wanted to be a part of a show that people remembered because I grew up idolizing the Madison Scouts of the 90s.
Yeah, of course.
And I just wanted a 95 Madison Scouts. I wanted a 97, a 99. I just wanted something that So honestly, like I've heard people say like, hey, '08 Samurai, like, even this is, 12 years later, people still remember that show. And it's okay, cool. I got to be a part of a show that people really remembered. And I think that year too, is I've talked to other people in the activity, and they said, well, 2008 Samurai wins 2006 5 4 3 2 1 0. It's just that was the time in 2008 where things started to change a little bit with drum corps. It's just that was kind of where things started to shift. And 2008 Samurai wins a lot of years, in my opinion.
It does
previously, but it was still really good. It was interesting is we were first going into finals week. We won Allentown that year.
I don't remember that, but wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we were second in prelims, and then Phantom. The first time Phantom beat us was actually semifinals.
Right. Yeah, I've got some opinions about that one, but we're not, you know what? Let them have. You know what? I'll say it. Phantom should never have won in 2008. So there we go.
Wow.
Sorry, you go by the books, you go by the sheets, and the Blue Devils were the best designed show that year. However, much like with Carolina Crown and E doubles MC squared or whatever, the fans would have tore apart the stadium if Phantom Regiment didn't win that year. So
I think what's cool though about with them winning that year is, however it shakes out, people will remember 2008, and that was a great year it was an outstanding year for drum corps.
It really was
the last drum corps finals that was outside.
And I was there. I was there to see that show. So yeah, it was awesome to see. It was fun to see Spartacus win. And yes, the energy in that stadium was crazy. But Blue Devils were great. Y'all were great. Was that the horse show with Crown, or was it Finney? I don't remember.
That was the year they started with Candide.
Oh, so it was Finney. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It was a great year for drum. Yeah, that was a great show.
Blue Coats had a great drum line, and that was knockout. Like everybody was good, man.
Yes. Oh yeah, that was great. Okay, but still, I would have given it to Blue Devils. But send your hate mail to Will Pitts, not me. So we met a few years ago judging, I think outside of Houston or Dallas or whatever, and I don't know, did I see you last in Indiana at IPA? I don't remember.
I think it was last year we judged together. That was the last time I would have seen you.
Right. And I'm not looking for you to speak about me at all whatsoever. I would ask this question regardless. We had talked about the Madison Scouts and sort of, you're an alum, you did 4 years. It's a big part of you. You mentioned the core shows of the 90s, which I think anybody who's of our age or a little older or a little younger remembers those types of things. And Madison has been a little bit different the last few years. They made some changes to go gender inclusive, and they've made changes to the design team that would have happened had drum corps happened this summer. So I'm curious, your other drum corps, Cavaliers, have continued, they had a little dip, but now they're back in the top 6. They're producing some fantastic shows. Madison on the other end of that spectrum. I'm curious your thoughts of the Madison Scouts of the last few years and maybe the decisions they've made to go gender inclusive and to sort of change the design team in a way that maybe other people would not think to do.
Well, first of all, congratulations to you on
thank you.
Scott,
again, that wasn't about this, but okay.
No, I understand, but we haven't had a chance to really talk about it. And I had a chance to talk with J-Rob. Actually, the last IPA show that happened this year, we had breakfast together. I first of all, I 100% support the decision the drum corps made to be gender inclusive. I think that's outstanding. And, I think one of the main reasons I think that is, again, if there is somebody out there that wanted to be a part or wants to be a part of the Madison Scouts as much as I did, then I think that's great. No matter who you are. I feel, I have the Fleur de Lis tattoo. My brother marched there. I idolize that drum corps, and honestly, never thought I would ever march anywhere else. I feel that the corps is just trying. The last few years and up until the new design team was brought in, just trying to find a way to evolve with the activity. I always felt sometimes at Madison, we were so beholden to our past that we were trying to live in that. And I felt like the years that were the most successful when I marched were the years that we could we could take a sliver of what made Madison Madison and inject it. And I think '05 was the perfect year of an example for that. And what's cool is the core director at the time, Sal Salas, who just got inducted to the DCI Hall of Fame. Congratulations to Sal. And Sal is actually the program coordinator and artistic director at the Spirit of Atlanta, which is, I just took that gig in this past August as the new battery ranger. So getting to work with Sal, and even just in our casual conversations, talk about some of our Madison moments, just kind of hear from his perspective. And, that was exactly kind of what he was looking for, is like, how can we create the essence of Madison, but still kind of honor our past? And I think sometimes, especially with drum corps that have a very rich history of like a golden age, it's hard to break away from that. And I felt like for a while it was kind of like, it's hard because even when I was there and the corps was in finals, we were top 6, top 8, we were still trying to do stuff that already hadn't been done. So I think, with the current team, I think you have a good blend of people who marched in the drum corps, like Jason, with people who are just really smart and might think, everybody has their own perspectives of the drum corps. Everybody respects that drum corps and has a positive memory or 2 or 3 or 4 of listening and watching that corps perform. So knowing pretty much all of you guys that were hired on at some of a personal level, I think was really, really good. I'm interested to see what you guys do, but I always support the drum corps. I had I had some issues when I was marching with how some things happened in 2006, but that was after 2006, before the 2007 season. But I always time has passed and I've gotten older. Everybody's gotten older, and I still love that drum corps, and I want them to do well. So I'm optimistic. I also hope that people realize that things take time.
Sure.
When I started marching scouts, the corps went from 14th to 8th in 1 year. And even like the Mandarins, who were kind of the new drum corps to the top 12, like they kind of you kind of saw it coming a little bit.
Right.
So I think as long as the alumni are patient, and that's not and I can say this because I marched both drum corps, I think the Cavaliers alumni base can be very impatient sometimes.
Sure.
And certainly the Madison as alumni base as well. But as long as the corps is in a place that it can continue to go on for another 80 years. And you have to evolve. And especially if people who are involved, are members of the drum corps, I think that's helpful. Chris Komnick and obviously Jason and, Dan Peterson. Dan was my Viz Tech when I marched my first year. Jeff Spanos was a snare tech and marched in the corps for 6 years. So there's lots of really good people around. So as long as people are patient, but as far as all the decisions the corps has made, I fully support it. I filled out every single alumni questionnaire that came my way over the course of the last year. And, I talked with my brother about it, who marched 99, 2000, 2001.
Oh boy.
And we were both in the same page, so I want the corps to do well. I want the corps that I'm working with to do really well as well.
Of course.
But I want Madison to be healthy and entertaining. And like I said, if there's somebody else out there that wants to be a part of that drum corps as much as I did when I was a kid, I think it's great that they have that opportunity now. Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll talk about your drum corps stuff in a bit, but I'm going to ask you a question that is, I'm going to call it a hot take question because I'm going to put you on the spot here. All the nerds in Texas bands are probably hoping I'm asking you this question, so here it goes. When will y'all make the oh-so-long drive down to BOA San Antonio, the hardest band competition in the history of the world?
Well, we've had this discussion before. We look at it almost every year, but usually, I think every year since I've been here, San Antonio is the same weekend as our first round of all-state auditions.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So maybe if there's a year that maybe we don't want to do Grand Nationals and the calendar works itself out to where maybe those aren't the same weekends, then that would be, we've talked about it, but
sure.
Again, we don't want to just not have our kids participate in All-State.
For sure.
So that's usually, 99% of the time, at least 100% of the time since I've been here, that's been a scheduling issue.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Because we're a little big for our britches down here. We've got the reigning Grand National champion here, and we'd love to have you and Carmel come back and Tarpon Springs maybe. So hey, let's why don't you make it happen, Adam? Just pull the trigger. Just say you're coming down right now.
I mean, like I said, we always try to look at other different places for our kids to experience performance fitness. We went to Orlando this past fall.
Yeah.
That was a first for our program. We've done the Atlanta regional twice. So we're always kind of looking at what else could we do?
Right.
I think more groups should think that way. I like that. Darren and our team, we always kind of think, well, what else could we do as far as what kind of experiences can we give our kids? Because that's always been our mantra is how many different performance experience can we give our students? And I'll say the Orlando trip, man, that was a blast this past fall.
Sure.
We were lucky with the weather we got and how everything just kind of happened. In my time at Broken Arrow, like some of the crowd reactions we got in Florida in prelims was the loudest it's ever been for us because we've never, the band has never been there. So people were excited that we were there. So it was a really welcoming community, which was really awesome. So like I said, man, maybe one of these years when the calendar works itself out, we would do it. But like I said, every year since I've been here, at least from what I can remember, it's usually the first round All-State is the same weekend as San Antonio. Makes sense.
Now, speaking of Orlando and why you should have come to Texas this year, you did arguably the most generally effective crowd-pleasing show in the history of like marching band. And for those who don't remember, they did a show called, and I'm not Dan or Chuck, so I will just say Yeehaw. And that would have played really well in Texas. So, it's fine. You can just do Yeehaw 2 or something like that when you come back. Y'all done sequels before, so that's okay.
We have.
So let's talk about Broken Arrow. This is going to be a long wind-up, so here we go. You began teaching in 2011, and you are the percussion specialist for the district. You also do the Jazz 1 ensemble. Let's talk about, we're not going to talk about each show, I'm just going to talk about it. 2011, Destiny Leaves No Choice, you won right out of the gate. 2012, Surrender to Hope, silver. 2013, Utopia, you didn't go to nationals. 2014, Face Me, you got second. 2015, Wild Blue Orchid, you won again. 2016, Age of Discovery, the first cart show, did not go to Grand Nats. 2017, Age of Discovery, Return of Xenu and the Carts, you got second. 2018, The United States of America, fourth place. And as mentioned this past year, yeehaw, you did not go to Grand Nationals. Your average as the percussion specialist is first 0.8 at Grand Nats. That's got to be a lot of fun and a little bit of hard work, would you say?
Yes, absolutely. You could say that.
So looking at this, I'm curious. Starting in 2018, there appears, at least to my eyes, that there was a shift in programming from what we'll call esoteric to more literal. You could go back to their first title with Aqua in 2006.
2006, yep.
And one of my favorite shows is the Ride of the Raptor, which is, I think, an underrated Aaron Guidry Broken Arrow show. But, you had Runaway, you had the Ride of the Raptor. Zoe was not esoteric, but, still kind of. And then you're like, we're going to do an America show, and then we're going to do a cowboy show. What was behind the decision to start that kind of trend in 2018?
We wanted to do a show that would appeal to more people. And it would appeal to both the adjudicators, but also everybody that was involved. From, the students themselves to anybody that could maybe walk into Grand Nationals or wherever we were performing, of maybe with somebody, a band parent of somebody else's band, and they would watch us and go, I really liked that. And I didn't necessarily have to think so hard. So one thing that I really enjoy about working here is we're not afraid to do anything. And I felt like we took a lot of risk with making that shift because I'm not sure everybody would feel quite as confident of doing that. And, there's I don't want to call it a formula, but there's definitely an aesthetic that we were always kind of going for. And we decided to completely turn it on its side. Correct. And that was a little bit by design because we wanted to do something different creatively. We wanted to evolve. We wanted to push the activity. But anytime that you do that, some people are going to dig it and some people maybe don't dig it as much, especially when you do a program that arguably thousands of marching bands have done a patriotic show.
Correct.
But, we wanted to do it in our own special way. And, with any show, you have these ideas of, all these layers, and as things progress, the show becomes what it is. And maybe it's it kind of shifts a little bit from your original idea, but, we just had this kind of grand romantic version of what are the things that we really feel about this country or could be felt with the country, and how can we show that in a way that's completely different than what we've done previously. And we were really I was really happy with how that came out, and I'm so proud of the fact that we went out there and we come out in these completely different band costumes and playing Stars and Stripes Forever. You know what I mean? And the year before, we were like these space aliens riding around on these cars. You know what I mean? So I've always really respected groups that have depth and range as far as, like you could say this group can do a show about anything. Like the WGI group I would reference is RCC. RCC can do a show of just about anything and pull it off and make it feel like it's theirs. Yeah. And I felt like we were starting to do that a little bit more. And honestly too, selfishly, since I've been here, one of the most popular shows is Zoe. 2010 Zoe is a show that everybody talks about still here in the community and through the band world here. And I was jealous because I didn't get to work on that show. That was the year before I got here. When we started to put this show together, I was like, this might be a show that people really enjoy for what it is. It's gonna have a different level of meaning for everybody, but it could be one of those shows that people really, really emotionally get attached to. Sure. So we did it, and then we decided we weren't going to go to Grand Nationals. What's something else that we can do that's in the same vein. And, let's take the music of Copeland and do a cowboy show that, again, another show that many, many groups have done throughout the country, but do it in our own way. Yeah, for sure. And then, then we played music of the Eagles, and we chose to do Desperado, which was awesome. We had a couple different choices for that third movement. And I remember in our earlier conversations as a design team, I was like, dude, if we can get the rights to it, we have to do Desperado. 100%. Now, it was very challenging to make it work, just to pull it off. But I think eventually what it was a home run. I was really happy with it. So, I'll be honest, the last two shows are not 100% in my wheelhouse, as a musician or as an arranger, but it also pushed me a little bit. Sure. And that's what I enjoyed about it too, is like, again, we're just trying to do different things. One thing that I thought of, and nobody ever told me this, but everybody has favorite actors. Everybody has favorite actors, actresses, artists, musicians, and sometimes they do movies that you don't expect them to do. Tom Hanks will do a comedy. He'll do this. He'll do that. Whoever you want to talk about, they might do like John Mayer was like super poppy, and then he had like this blues phase where he was doing all this trio stuff, and then he went to Montana and became a folk singer. So I felt like, okay, for us, we're just trying to expand our range a little bit. How can we create effect in different ways and kind of reinvent ourselves? And then maybe going forward, that opens up the floodgates a little bit for what we can do in the future. And also too, is just kind of like, okay, if we do something like this, competitively, what does that look like? How did people respond to it? What are some things that really worked? Maybe some things that didn't work as well. And we're still just trying to be the best Broken Arrow that we can be. That's really what it's all about. And, so it was exciting to take a risk. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. And especially taking a risk of doing a show that theoretically will appeal to the masses a little bit more. Right. Yeah. And be more accessible. That was the word. Oh, accessible. That's a good word. Accessible was the word we were looking for, is how can we be more accessible to the audience? How can we be more accessible to our family, our parents who watch our shows? Because there's a lot of parents who are like, well, Wild Blue Orchid is great, but I have no idea what that show's about. Sure. That was kind of a push to that. And it's fun to do those kinds of things and just kind of, and just see where that takes you, that process takes you.
It's crazy to be in an activity where being accessible is considered a risk. Because there was a time when people would just do like, we're doing the music of blood, sweat, and tears, and like that's what they did. And I'm not saying this is a Broken Arrow exclusive issue. I mean, we can go back now since the 2000s. It seems to be that if you did a quote unquote poppy type show, right, like a patriotic show or this and that, you weren't taken seriously. You could still make finals and do well.
I mean, you could. Yeah, I mean, it's a risk because, and then if you're trying to win the show, you know, then you're risking. The person that's evaluating you has to evaluate, is this sophisticated enough?
Correct.
Is the subject matter sophisticated enough, or is how are you delivering it? Is that sophisticated enough?
Right.
So, and everything comes in waves.
Correct.
You know, so there'll probably be a time where everybody's doing shows that's maybe more accessible, and then doing the opposite is taking the risk.
Right.
You just never, I mean, same thing with props. Eventually people won't be using props, and everything kind of comes and goes. So, but yeah, I mean, you take a risk with those kinds of programs, but it was a risk that we felt we needed to do and we wanted to do for a multitude of reasons.
For sure. Now, you started the Broken Arrow High School Indoor Percussion, capturing 3 WGI Regional Championships in 2017 and 2018. You were a Scholastic World Semifinalist. Your percussion also performed at the 70th Midwest Clinic in 2016. Sounds to me like being a successfully well-rounded percussion program is part of the philosophy at Broken Arrow, huh?
It's 100% the philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, you have a highly successful marching band, indoor drumline, and percussion ensemble. Can you describe sort of the day-to-day? I think you're on an every other year kind of thing with WGI, and so maybe it differs, but what's your stuff?
Yeah, well, there's another thing is, you know, if we don't attend WGI, at least lately, it's been because the state concert band contest is usually the Thursday or Friday of WGI.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we have, you know, last year and this year we wouldn't have attended because of that conflict. So it's not really like a formula. It's not even whether or not we want to go. It's whether or not, okay, number one, can we go?
Right.
And then number two, do we want to? So that's that. Are you thinking like, are you asking more of like a day-to-day kind of operation?
Yeah. So now explain, because everybody's jobs as percussion teachers are different, and you do a jazz band and you do the percussion for the district. So I'm assuming there's some middle school or whatever y'all call it in Oklahoma, middle school, high school responsibilities. So what's a typical day for Adam like?
So usually, I mean, it's different. First of all, it's different every year and every semester. So things kind of change a little bit. And again, we're just trying to do little shifts to make it as best as we can. So in the fall, first period is wind ensemble. So I take those kids out, and we're doing, you know, we might have to learn, you know, stuff for ball games, and we just run through the stuff that we do in the stands to make sure we know how to do that. And that usually takes a week or whatever, because those kids don't need that time. Usually the fall semester is a combination of 3 things. It's either all-state prep. So we start learning the all-state etudes. We also start percussion ensemble music in the fall. And we also do whatever, you know, band music they do. We do 2 concert band concerts in the fall, one in mid-October and then one in December. So basically between myself and Mr. Davis, we just kind of talk about, okay, how many days do you need the kids in your ensemble this week? You know, and then it's up to me to kind of balance everything out to you know, make sure they're learning all the music they need to for him, and then also for what I need for all state and for percussion ensemble. Second period, I teach the top jazz band. I kind of walked into it. We have this was, I guess, 6 or 7 years ago. We had our jazz band director took the gig as the community college director of bands in town. He's an incredible musician. His name's Reed Bennett. He's one of those dudes that he won like. There's actually a state jazz championship here in Oklahoma. They actually do like first, second, and third place.
Oh, wow.
And he just kept winning every year. And he, in addition to being an outstanding musician, he was an incredible teacher. So I have some jazz background from my high school, and I studied with Steve Houghton when I was at Indiana. So, and again, I've had some really great jazz experiences. And when I was here with him, I kind of especially helped the rhythm section and the drummer. And then if he had to be gone for a reason, I would cover his class. So when he took this new gig, he said, "Hey, I really think you should teach the band. And I was like, I was maybe my second or third year. And I was like, sure. And now it's like, okay, now it's like my 7th year doing it.
Yeah.
It's fun. I think it expands what I have to do from day to day. It kind of gives it a little bit of a break in the day. Sometimes honestly, it's really challenging to balance because my first job here at Broken Arrow is the percussion specialist, but I'm also the percussion arranger. I'm also the percussion fixer of instruments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I have to make it like I can't tell you how many times we get a change in the morning at 10 o'clock that we have to get into rehearsal at 3:30. And I got to figure out a way to make that happen because I write the battery parts. Or, hey, we got to change this sample. Well, guess who's the person who's doing all the programming? So that part of it sometimes becomes a challenge, but third period is our third band, kind of same deal as wind ensemble. You know, they got to learn, they don't do the all-state music unless they choose to. So them, it's percussion ensemble and their band music. And then in the fall, we have a freshman academy. So Broken Arrow High School is grades 10, 11, and 12. Then all of our freshmen are in the same building. In the fall semester, I have a percussion class, just with those guys. And we do everything from, we do like 3 or 4 major units. And we also they have to learn all of their music for, like the stand tunes and stuff like that, which takes them longer because they're younger and it's all brand new for them.
Sure.
So we do that. We also we learned your region etudes, the entire semester, and then as well as percussion ensemble and then instruments. It's like my chance to be able to get with all of those students. And then basically I get to go home, grab a quick sandwich, and then go back to school for last period, which is the second band, which is the band that my wife teaches.
Okay.
And it's the same deal as whatever she needs or whatever. That's kind of the fall semester. And then obviously we have marching band. In the spring, it's very similar, except for I don't have a freshman class. Those kids are in bands, and then basically I figure out my schedule to, maybe go see the freshmen maybe once a week. It's just kind of whatever works. And then, towards the end of the first semester, I screen kids for percussion for the middle schools.
Yeah.
And so one thing that's a challenge with our setup is I don't really get to see any middle school kids. I don't start any of our beginners.
Wow.
I really don't see those kids until they're freshmen.
Okay.
So it was actually a question that was asked of me when I interviewed here was what are some ways we can tackle this? Because we have 5 middle schools, soon to be 6, and they all feed one place.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, one thing about our neighbors, Union and Owasso, they have a 6th grade center, a 7th grade center, an 8th grade center. And if we were set up like that, then that would be a situation where I could start all of my beginners and I would do it every day. But we don't have that. And there's 5 middle schools. There's not 5 of me.
Yeah.
So what we've done is, I have a very talented, tech staff, 2 guys that are here pretty much full time. One of them is Zach Simons. Zach, is an Owasso graduate, went to Oklahoma University, March Cavaliers. He's been teaching the drumline with me for a couple years at Broken Arrow. And we have him as like a paraprofessional, which I think is fairly common in Texas.
Sure.
So what he does is he basically makes the rounds to the middle schools. Like it's a booster paid position. And we've budgeted money to be able to support him to basically teach all the kids that I can't see,
right,
and be able to tackle and do as many things with the middle school students as possible. Then I have another teacher with me, Michael Kern. He's my front ensemble guy. He just started with us this past school year, and he's kind of our go-to private lesson person.
Gotcha.
So the 3 of us really kind of coordinate it. So 90% of what I do is at the freshman academy and high school level. And I, especially around contest time, I try to make visits to the 8th grade band rehearsals, check it out, and see if there's anything I can help with. And hey, maybe you should use this mallet that's too loud on the suspended cymbal, or whatever it may be. Maybe tune the snare drum. Like, just try to help in any way that I can of things that I can have an effect on really fast. So that's kind of at least it works right now.
Jeez. So you work a lot, and I don't want to say that's good to hear, because I think there might be a misconception about programs like a Broken Arrow, maybe like a Ronald Reagan, like a Carmel, where it's like, yeah, I've got 6 people, and I teach my one percussion class. Like it sounds like you're a normal percussion teacher running around with their head cut off all day long.
Well, I think one of the biggest differences is I don't have to balance a middle school. Like I don't have middle school courses like I know a lot of my colleagues do. My colleagues might have in Texas, but I'm also teaching the top jazz band, and I'm the one that when things happen quickly at BA. Like I said, if we have a change that needs to go in, it's got to go in, and I'll hear about it if it doesn't happen that afternoon or that evening. So I have to figure out a way to make that happen, and since I'm the one to do it, that's a lot of times in the fall that has to happen whenever we decide.
Yeah, it makes sense. Now, you said you're the battery arranger. Does Jim write the pit stuff as well as the wind book?
Yes, Jim Wunderlich writes all of the front ensemble stuff, and as of 2018, writes all of the wind book too.
And does he do the electronics design?
Yes.
And then you're the one that implements all the samples and stuff like
Correct.
that, right? But then you said you're the mixer, so you're the audio engineer for the Broken Arrow.
Well, I mean, we do have a student every year that runs the mixer.
Right.
So they have a little part in that. They don't do a lot of the nitty gritty. A lot of what they're doing most of is scene changes and telling the pit when they can plug in. Most of my job is electronically is to implement what Jim does. And since I'm not a software person with marching band or indoor, we don't use laptops on MIDI controllers or anything.
What?
It's all hardware. Yeah. So I have this conversation with Tom McGillen all the time. I know Ian Grom is in the school of like hardware. Well, we have some fantastic Yamaha motifs.
Yeah.
So what Jim will do is Jim will say, okay, this patch needs to be strings, and I know on that instrument what sounds good and what we've been using, and those are like some go-tos. So basically my job is to take what he does, and he'll send me, MP3s or WAV files of the recording, and I'll try to match that sound as much as I possibly can. So it's kind of programming, and the kids actually the kids get smarter at it too as the season goes along, because they kind of know like, okay, I like this string sound. I want Almighty here. Okay, well I want this here, or whatever it may be. So the kids start to learn, but that's another thing that I do, implementing, all the samplers and things like that. So there are no laptops in our setup.
Wow, that it's crazy to say that's an old school way of thinking.
It is. It's a little old school, but honestly, it's how I learned, and it serves us well. There's challenges on both sides, of course, but that's how I learned. That's how Tom McGillen taught me.
Yes.
And I've even asked him, like, do we want to do this? Because I was actually very, very cautious about using wireless for a very, very long time.
Sure.
And it wasn't until I think 2017 or 2018 that 2017 was the first year we started like rolling out all this wireless.
Right.
And it was kind of like, okay, well now I feel comfortable enough to navigate this, to be able to, to work it. And at one point when I was here, I was like, no, everything is hardwired. It's got to be up front.
Yeah.
But then we started to kind of, 2015, we had a Barry sax solo in the lyrical section of the show that was wireless. That was like the first time. And then a couple years later, we kind of went and got 8 wireless things. So, things evolve, but as far as, using controllers and laptops, it's just one other thing that could go wrong.
That's correct.
And plus, if there is a sound that Jim really, really, really wants, there are ways to be able to input that into your hardware, or you can do it through like a 404 and another MIDI controller. If you can't, like, and I actually did that this past winter. I was like, well, I'm not gonna be able to find that exact sound, so I need to figure out a way to kind of navigate it. So rather than like opening up your laptop and like, it's just, the whole idea of that just scares me to death. I also don't know enough about it, because that's not the school of thought I came from. Right. But that's just the way that we do it. So it's worked well, and as long as you get quality instruments and you're able to, if you're able to afford those kinds of things, then I think it works really well, as long as the kids learn how to treat the instruments and things like that, of course. But, it's all hardware. You're not going to see a laptop anywhere in our set.
Wow, that's crazy. Because when Tom was at Broken Arrow, that's when I was at Reagan back in the mid 2000s. And I remember talking to Tom on the phone because we were doing something, and Aaron was writing for Reagan and Broken Arrow at the time.
Yeah.
And so it's great because that's what we did. We did basically what Broken Arrow was doing with we were using Korgs back then.
Yeah, well, that's why Aaron was writing on Korg, so Tom, it was a lot easier because they were using the same instrument.
Exactly.
Whatever Jim's doing on Digital Performer, his whatever bass sound in the keyboard, I got to figure out what's the motif equivalent. You know what I mean? So
of course,
if I was a first year teacher, that would be a little more daunting. But I know the instruments well enough that I can feel pretty strongly to be able to do it.
Yeah, I'm right there. Now I don't know if you're going to get this reference, and if you don't, it's okay. But do you remember woodwind cart training?
No.
There's the nerds, the Texas bands nerds, the whatever, there's one of them, I guess a drum corps stayed at Broken Arrow, and I think the year was 2016, and on the schedule or something was woodwind cart training, because that was the year y'all had carts, and the woodwinds were using the carts, and y'all had woodwind cart training. I thought maybe you would have a good story about that, but I guess not.
It's probably not it's honest. Well, I mean, dude, those carts in 16 and 17 were just it was just a completely different, literally vehicle to use. So, man, I think that's one of those things where, as cool as it was, I don't think anybody could understand how challenging some of that stuff was. And I'm not sure, other than unless you have a critique and bring a cart with you and go, you know what I mean? Because if everybody's not pedaling the same, you got to keep interval. And how do you spin it? How do you balance yourself? And then 17, we put this rack above it, so we can turn them upside down or whatever. I mean, it was really cool, and it's a great way to experiment and explore. But yeah, there's so much stuff with those things, man, to be able to make sure everything looks good. And not to mention, when you're moving from set to set, they all have to pedal the same. And then those were the years where we kind of joked where, okay, reset. And it'd be a 5-minute break because everybody's you have to reset these giant carts every time. Sorry, not to cut you off, but not to mention if a student was sick or if a student was ineligible.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
That was a couple times. I think we had a couple halftime performances where we had a staff member have to move a cart because that kid was ineligible, and maybe we got rained out on a Thursday. Maybe one of our band directors would jump in for the closer to do one of them. It was pretty wild.
Wow, that's fantastic. I have one of those carts because y'all sold them.
Oh, you do?
I bought one, yes, and the tires have gone flat, so I don't know how to fix it. But yes, I have one of your carts because I thought it'd just be fun. It was $150. It's sure, why not? Man. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. Now, going through your Facebook likes is like reading my mind because you and I like so many of the same things. I think it's because we're similar in age. You're much younger than I am, but that's okay. According to Facebook, you like Top Gun. Now, is that a great 80s movie or the greatest 80s movie?
It's up there, man. It's top 5.
Are you excited about
I'm not a definitive best, but it's definitely top 5.
For sure. Are you excited about Top Gun Maverick?
I'm very excited.
I cannot wait.
I'm bummed that I know they had to push the release back. I think to Christmas, I think it was, or something like that.
Hey, let's ring in the new year with Top Gun.
That's right.
That's going to be great. Now, you like pages for Back to the Future 2 and Back to the Future 3, but no love for the OG.
That's just a mistake on my part. Then.
Well, you do like a page called the Back to the Future trilogy, so I guess that kind of makes up for it. I don't know.
Yeah,
you might want to fix that.
That's absolutely my favorite trilogy, though. Back to the Future. Oh my God,
yeah.
Back to the Future, the original movie. Yeah. We used to have. I was born in '86, so I remember watching. We used to have HBO or Showtime, and my family, if there was a movie we really wanted to keep, we would record it on VHS, right, and watch it back later. And when I was 6 or 7 or 8, I would watch that movie over and over and over again. And just with a lot of things, I used to watch The Simpsons all the time as a kid.
Oh yeah.
But now when I rewatch those episodes now, I still enjoy it, but now I understand all the references.
Yeah, of course.
So when I was younger with Back to the Future, my oldest brother would be like, "Do you have any idea what's going on right now?" No, not entirely, but I still really enjoy watching it.
Yeah. Yeah, I consider it to be one of the most perfect movies of all time.
Oh yeah,
It's just
so do a lot of filmmakers.
yes, it's untouchable. Please don't ever remake that movie. God, anyone who ever has that idea,
I don't think
they
so.
need to be shot.
Yeah.
You like 2 Parks and Recreation pages, which is great.
Oh, I love Parks and Rec, man.
Parks and Rec is you love The Office.
I do.
Happy Endings, which is awesome because
Yeah.
I love that show. It's gone too soon.
Yeah, that was I haven't watched it in a while, but I don't even remember. It must have been like a random summer or Christmas break where I somehow stumbled on to that show.
Yeah.
Whether it would be Netflix or whatever. And it was like, this show's pretty funny. Like my wife and I watched it together.
Yeah.
And it didn't really take off, but it was really good writing and pretty good acting.
Yes.
And there's a lot of those actors have gone on to do other sitcoms or whatever like that. But that's a good little show. It's been a while since I've watched it, but when I was watching it, I was totally into it.
Yeah. Now, I wager that The Office, Parks and Rec, Community, and 30 Rock are all significantly better than Friends. It's not even a contest. Would you concur?
Yeah. I would concur.
That's what I like to hear. Thank you. Thank you for that. You like 2 Joel McHale pages.
Oh, I love Joel McHale. Especially when he was doing Talk Soup. And then he had the recreation of that show as a Joel McHale show on Netflix.
I love the Joel McHale show on Netflix.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. He was great on Community.
Of course.
He's somebody that if I said to almost anybody that I see daily, like people I work with, and talk about Joel McHale, none of them would know who I'm talking about.
Really?
Yeah. So, but man, like when he used to do Talk Soup,
Yes.
I don't remember if he was after John Henson or if there was somebody in between. But man, like
I think Aisha Taylor was between them, wasn't she?
okay. I honestly don't remember.
But I remember, I'm old enough to remember Greg Kinnear on Talk Soup, and then John Henson, and
John Henson was when I first remembered.
Yes,
Talk
and then
Soup.
Aisha Taylor, and then Joel McHale. Yeah, Joel McHale,
great.
he's fantastic.
And he does great stand up too. I haven't seen him live. My oldest brother has.
Okay.
And he said it's like just the way his humor is very similar to what he is on his show.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. 2 Thomas Newman pages. Is he your favorite film scorer?
100%. I love Thomas Newman.
He's great.
I mean, I when it comes around Oscars time, if he's up for an Oscar, I usually have a couple posts, and even my wife says I fanboy over him. And, it's been a relatively recent thing that I've gotten into. And we use some of his music in a couple of our indoor shows. And I know that he's a big influence on Jim Wunderlich, and anything that's an influence on Jim, I'm going to listen to.
Sure.
And then as I got more and more familiar with his music, I just really fell in love with it, and I couldn't believe how many times this guy has been nominated but never won.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I really thought he was going to win this past year, and I really thought he should have. Even on other soundtrack he did, Passengers.
Oh, right.
The movie is very entertaining.
Sure.
I think there is nominated for special effects or whatever, plus the soundtrack. But man, it seems like every year he's on the bill. But it's kind of like, what does the guy have to do to win? But
what movie was he nominated for this year?
1917.
Oh, that's right. And what won?
Joker.
Oh, Joker was really good though.
I'm not. I mean, Hilda is great. I just didn't buy it, dude. I liked the movie a lot, and when the movie was over, I was more moved by their use of Sinatra in that movie, way more than anything she did. And that's not against her. I think it's great that there's the diversity and there's a new face, but it's like maybe actually me and Noah Bellamy had this conversation.
Oh, the man who ruined the Troopers. That's right, Noah Bellamy.
Noah and I had this conversation, and you're really comparing apples to oranges as far as how the number one, the movies, but of course, Newman was more symphonic, orchestral, and of course his signature use of piano. But then, Joker was a lot more, it's more esoteric, atmospheric, but there's no melody, of course, and there's not even a lot of scoring.
Yeah.
You have to. I don't know a lot of people that are going to buy the Joker soundtrack and listen to it.
Right.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. I just, it was like, I kind of saw it coming. I was talking with my friend Garrett Sharton about it. Garrett's like, Joker's going to win.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I know. I just don't want it to. So hopefully one of these years, Thomas Newman
for sure.
they'll just be.
He didn't win for American Beauty?
No, he's never won. Wow. He didn't win for Shawshank.
Dude, that's insane to me. I've never really considered that he never won.
Finding Nemo didn't win.
Dude, Wally's great also.
Wally,
oh my gosh.
Yep. He's never won.
That is shocking. I'm very shocked. I'm very upset at that now. Wow. Wow. You know, the way you described Joker was the way I feel about any time Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross win. Like for Social Network, I liked what they did with Mountain King, but he didn't write that. He just sampled it and did a cool version of it. But that's the track people play. Like, oh, it's like, So anyway, I'm not into bleeps and bloops, so that's why. But go ahead and at me on that one. You like Panera Bread. Do you really like Panera Bread that much?
Maybe when I was in college.
that was the second funniest page you liked. The first one was Competition Suite.
I don't know why I liked Competition Suite.
I don't know.
Maybe somebody told me I had to at some point, so I did it.
They're trying to increase their likes, making all the judges.
I guess so.
Like the page. You know what you don't like? Sketchbook podcast.
Actually, I was listening to one of your podcasts this morning, and I felt like maybe it didn't go through, but I was clicking a 5-star review.
Oh, great. Well, you also don't like General Effect, not actually, the actual caption, but the brand.
If you look now, I'm pretty sure I have liked Sketchbook Podcast.
Oh, yes. On Facebook. Well, I did this stuff last night. I waited till the last possible minute. You also don't like Montoya Music on Facebook, but that's fine.
Maybe you haven't reached out to me to try to...
I don't beg for likes. I also don't have a Montoya Music Facebook page anymore.
Well, there you go.
But have you ever played any of my music, Adam? And please don't say The Highway.
Then I have no answer.
It's going to be on my tombstone. He wrote The Highway.
It's all right, man. I mean, like...
At least I did something.
I don't think you should have any shame in. I know that anybody, they want to have a wider range than just like this one piece that you did.
Of course.
But, hey man, it's a good, especially for the grade level. Yeah. I've used it with, you know what I mean? Like that's one thing for percussion ensemble. There's not a ton of great music at that grade level.
You're right.
And the same thing with concert band music. Like how many grade one music that's quality is really challenging to find. And especially anybody that's played at Midwest, as you have to find this music. And it's like, man, I'm trying to find something that fits my program and that's sophisticated and it sounds good and is great for the composers. It's challenging sometimes. It's really easy to write advanced music, you know. So
absolutely.
So when you hit something that's, I'm not sure what grade level you would call it today, maybe grade 2 or 3 or something like that.
Who knows now?
whatever it is, it's usually probably a grade 2 if somebody were to play at Midwest. There's not a plethora of great grade 2 music out there.
Yeah, the two most successful are The Highway and then Mayhem, which Jim publishes, and they're both middle school type. Young high school band percussion type stuff. So, all right, I'll allow it. Now, as mentioned, this season you were named Battery Ranger and Percussion Co-Caption Head of the Spirit of Atlanta. I would like you to please spill any and all secrets about what the Baby Blue had in store for us. But let me guess, the devil went down to Georgia on My A Beautiful Mind. Am I correct?
We're just going to do Harlem Nocturne for 10 and a half
Dude,
minutes.
Hey, Malagania for 11 minutes with Madison, Harlem Nocturne for 11 minutes with Spirit. That's all anybody wants to hear, right? And then Troop the Stands, right, with Georgia on my mind. I know you can't give away anything because who knows what the future of Spirits, next year, everyone's kind of figuring that stuff out. But what can you talk about at all about maybe what y'all were planning for this year with the sort of new design team, the new approach, etc.?
Sure. Well, what I'll tell you is from my personal perspective, the process of putting our show together is very different than what I do with any other program that I work with. I used to write, there's a couple of years I would write like 10 marching band shows, and it's way too much for me as a full-time teacher.
Sure.
It just got to be a little bit too much. I stretched myself a little thin. I usually write about 5 marching band shows, but most of those, if not all of them, are Wes shows. And there's a relationship there, and in a way that he does it that's very freeing, and that I know exactly what he wants and how he wants it. And, it's all familiar, right? Yeah. Even the way that we put together our indoor shows is fairly similar, because I asked a couple years ago, or I guess last year, I asked Jim if he would kind of take the role as program coordinator. and that process works well for me right now. So at Spirit, it's just a little different, which is really good for me personally as just a young arranger. So it's very much a collective effort, which is cool. I feel like it took a while, and we had, we had a couple different shows all brought to the table. We all kind of voted of like, okay, let's have some serious discussions about these 2 or 3. We eventually decided on one, and then we had meetings and calls and continue to get more and more in depth. And I feel like what we eventually landed on was a really good mix of everybody's talents in the room. Mm-hmm. Like I know for me, like there are certain musical genres or aesthetics that I tend to feel as a strength of mine. So when we did all Shostakovich in 2015 at Broken Arrow, I felt like that is right in my wheelhouse. I also arranged for Dobbins Bennett when we were doing Pilgrim's Chorus. We were doing Elsa's. We did a lot of Shostakovich last year. I feel like that music, for whatever reason, is right in my wheelhouse. But there's been other programs and other schools that I've written for. And we did a show, actually right for Stephen F. Austin. They did a show that was Mary Poppins.
Yep.
And that really stretched me because that's not in my wheelhouse.
Sure.
But like, that's totally cool. Just like, USA is not in my wheelhouse either. But
yeah.
You get into it and it stretches you. And I think you said this on a podcast before with Richard of the more constraints you have, sometimes the better the product is. So I felt like, anyways, with Spirit, we finally landed on something that everybody at the table can kind of play on their strengths, both musically and visually. And we felt like it was the direction that the core was going. And I myself and Jamie Thompson Jamie was in a little bit more involved role. I think myself and Mike Martin were the only 2 brand new people to the team. And Mike and I kind of think very similarly because, Mike's a wind arranger, does a lot of band stuff. And that's kind of where I come from. And of course we do the indoor thing, but Broken Arrow is the only indoor show that I write. So just kind of our experiences kind of lend itself to that. So you put all of us together and we finally land on a show. I felt really strongly about, we finally landed on something that I feel really captures all of our strengths, is a extreme wide variety in terms of the musical production, and then a very wide variety in terms of aesthetic. And it went with the show that we were also doing, so if you're trying to do a program that maybe doesn't call for something that's as wide, and maybe you want something that's kind of in the same breadth, that maybe a longer development of like a 10-minute program, maybe that would have been a different situation. But for the program that we went with, I felt like really played to our strengths and had a wide range of musical and visual possibilities. Now,
you did say twice that Shostakovich was in your wheelhouse, so I'm going to assume that Shostakovich confirmed Spirit of Atlanta 2021.
You'll have to wait against.
Oh, okay. See, we'll take your denial, your non-denial.
I would like. I hope as a young arranger that I have more than one wheelhouse.
right.
Versus
of course.
one. Another thing too is, I think with drum corps, going back to our conversation about like Madison or whatever, every corps has an identity. Yeah. I think that's important. So, also considering that and considering your alumni base and your fan base and also the temperature of the room of the people who have been there and what they would like to see the direction of the corps going in. It's very much a team effort. So it was a different experience putting that together. And obviously everybody's kind of just in a some sort of stopping point or pause point or whatever in that process. But, we're still taking that same program forward with 2021. I think most groups that I've talked to are doing the same thing.
Sure.
So it just gives us a little more time to make it really right. You know what I mean?
Right. Now I'll give you a free tidbit. All right. Russia is an empire. Georgia is an empire in Russia. Shostakovich, Russian, Georgia on my mind. There you go. Spirit of Atlanta, Shostakovich 2021. I just gave you a free idea. If you make finals over Madison, I'll charge you for it. But no. So last question of the day. For the folks listening to us at home and nowhere else because they are smart and are socially isolating, please describe in excruciating detail what shoes you are wearing.
I am wearing New Balance 574s.
Ooh, all right.
They're black with a little bit of red and a little bit of Carolina blue.
Oh,
I like New Balance 574s, or those kind of shoes are actually something that it's kind of my go-to sometimes. I seem to every couple years get another pair because they feel good on my feet.
Sure.
And for what I do, like they hold up pretty well too. So that's kind of what I'm wearing right now. But I'll be honest with you, I know that this is, of course, anybody that knows you knows about your connection to shoes.
Sure.
The cool thing, especially with what's going on with ESPN, my first pair of shoes were the Air Jordan 1s.
They were not.
They were.
Like which, oh my God, what colorway? Do you remember?
They're the red and black.
Like the one that everyone talks about.
Yeah. My first pair of shoes as a baby, like when I was born, they're like 3 inches big.
Oh my gosh.
So that kind of goes to show you, like, I was literally born into a Chicago sports family. So maybe after we get off the call, I'll find them and I'll take a picture.
Dude, that's incredible. My
first pair of shoes were Air Jordan 1s.
Wow. And I mean, you don't have them anymore, right?
I have them in storage somewhere. My mom let me keep them. Yeah.
Wow. Dude, that's insane.
Like, as far as I know, when I was born, that was kind of something my dad and my brothers brought into the hospital with them. So when I left the hospital or whenever the first time you can put shoes on a baby,
right? Whenever
those were the first ones.
That's so incredible. That's why
somewhere I know that my mom let me keep them. So they're I'm pretty sure I know where they are in storage. But yeah, just because it's like, especially now, everybody's talking about Jordans again because of the last Dance documentary. Yeah. But my favorite Jordans is the 11s, the Concords.
Dude, the 11s are one of my favorites too. Those are solid. They come out like every December with some retro type. So
right.
Yeah.
And I like the 3s too.
Yes. Oh yeah. 3, 4, 5, and then 11 to me. I like those. And the ones obviously. But so wow. Okay. So this is the weird question to ask everybody. What's next for you, Adam?
Oh man, who knows? Well, everybody's just kind of waiting, but living in Oklahoma, I sometimes fear that we're going to be one of the first people to kind of go things a little bit more quickly than we should.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
So I don't know, man. It seems like every time I talk to, I usually try to talk to the people that we work with at least once a week, and even the designers, and just getting the temperature of everybody in the room and how they're doing. And, depending upon who you talk to, I know our state government is really pushing to kind of get things moving quickly.
Right.
And I think I saw yesterday there was the Indiana Athletic Association said they could start resuming activities July 1st.
Wow.
Our governor is trying to push things to go to normal on June 1st. But between, you and I and the people who listen, I don't think that we've reached our peak here in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And we've also we were one of the 6 states that didn't have a state stay-at-home order. Our county did, and our town did, but not the whole state.
Right.
And we were, they are kind of loosening things up a little earlier and faster than other places. So, of course, I want everything to be safe. I want everybody to be healthy. I want everybody to feel safe and doing things, but I think everybody's just treading lightly. I think right now for me, honestly, is I'm trying to enjoy the time with my wife and my dogs, and going for bike rides every day, and maybe trying to do a little bit of planning as much as I possibly can, especially for whatever groups have already kind of paid me to start, so I can get some things moving. And pretty much everybody that I'm working with has said, well, if this doesn't make the field this fall, it'll make the field the fall after that.
Right.
So I think I'm kind of in a funk of like, well, how hard do I really dig into this right now?
Right.
But, you know what I mean? I hope for the best. I hope that testing becomes easier. I know, don't necessarily see that happening a lot in my state right now.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that, but I'm definitely taking precautions, but I know here there are restaurants who are serving like they always have. And, some people are doing it full throttle. Some are like, half capacity. Some are still like, know what, we're not doing that. Mm-hmm. But I think our governor is moving to make things open so that the owners of these places have those decisions to make. So I don't know. I hope that, again, I hope everything is done safely. I hope if you pay attention to things that are happening in the news, and like a couple of days ago here in Oklahoma and Stillwater, there were verbal threats with people who were being turned away that weren't wearing a mask.
Right.
And the mayor of Stillwater had to lift that.
That's right.
Clause because of verbal threats. So it's really scary and unfortunate those kinds of things are happening. But I just hope that whenever we are able to, number one, I hope it happens slowly and over time. And I hope that people are cautious. And I hope that people, once we are able to do things, feel safe to do so.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah. Agreed. I hope we listen back to these in a few years and go, man, that was a crazy time, wasn't it?
I hope so.
And hopefully
yes.
we're outside of the house when we're saying stuff like that.
Right.
It's been a pleasure to have you here today. You are an absolute delight, other than the fact that you do not like Topo Chico. I don't like it personally, but I won't hate on it for other people liking it. Well, this might, if this is not the most viewed episode, you'll know why, because all the Topo Chico fans are up in arms.
There you go.
This episode of Sketchbook Podcast was recorded in Austin, Texas and Oklahoma, and was edited and produced by me, Daniel Mathoy Jr., in Austin, Texas. Our logo is created by John Suh of Purpose Designs, and our music is provided by Epidemic Sound. If you enjoy Sketchbook, tell a friend about the show or share a link on social media. You can rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts, and you might find your review featured on a future episode. Got questions, comments, suggestions, or concerns? Email us at sketchbookpodcast@gmail.com. It too could be featured on a future episode. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at SketchbookPod and join the Sketchbook community on Facebook at Sketchbook Podcast. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Sketchbook Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. Thanks for listening.